fire. So.
Okay, it is 6:30, so we will begin the May meeting of the zoning board of appeals. First item we have is a roll call.
Yeah, I got it. Pulaski?
Here.
Tobin?
Yes.
Healy?
Yeah.
Strayer?
Here.
Berthold?
Yes.
Members present?
Okay, we're all set. Have quorum. Next item, approval of the minutes from our April meeting. We had a copy in our packet. Everyone should have had a chance to look them over. Are there any additions or corrections?
Move approval of the minutes as submitted.
Seconded.
Okay. Any questions? Anyone? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, minutes approved. Our first new business item is for 1416 South.
Oh.
Oh, there's some. Yep.
Yep.
One,
Got it.
two.
Greg.
Okay. Okay, sorry for the interruption, but let's try it again, please.
All right. My name is Jason. I'm from Johnson Sign and I'm here with Tom representing the plaza for Crossroads. And what we are asking for is back in January, I emailed in the drawing that you guys probably have in the packet that shows us actually renovating majority, like 3/4 of the sign, and then removing the top angled cabinet and replacing it with one that's rectangular to be able to fit the new tenants in place. So I know in the description, it says that we're asking for more square footage. But when when I was emailing actually Jeremiah, when we were talking about it, is basically just since initially when that sign was figured for square footage, most likely it was boxed in. So really now changing out that upper cabinet would just kind of fill in that boxed area so we could actually use that square footage for the tenant space instead of the header for the plaza.
That was actually one of my questions I had was what is the square footage now?
The square footage now, if that's all boxed in, it would be,
Which is the way it's figured.
yep, it would be 221 square foot, which is what we're actually asking for.
But when I measure the diagram you have here on the left, the one that shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 business names.
Mhm.
And add up what the dimensions are there, that comes up to, let's see, 130 square feet plus.
But no,
What?
These dimensions here
So well under the 154.
come up to 100.
I don't think you got that right.
They're asking for 221.
Didn't do that right. Never mind.
Okay.
All right.
Because the way I figured it roughly was what you have now is basically what you're asking for the new sign. Because when we box that in when we do this, figure the square footage.
Correct. Yep.
So is that right? We're really looking basically the same size sign they have now, square footage wise? I mean,
Well, yeah.
different shape, but
Yes, more or less, but it's still, they're removing the sign they have now, right? And so it is not something that can be permitted without a variance, but
Yeah, we would be removing that top triangular shaped cabinet and then installing that upper 90-inch by 140-inch rectangular cabinet. It's the same size. It's just we'd be cutting that top portion off and putting the rectangular portion on top. And then refacing and repainting the rest of the sign.
so obviously there's new panels going in the whole new sign will have all new panels.
Right, yep.
Because they're different.
Yep,
different
every
sizes.
tenant face would be removed and then we'd paint the whole structure and then put new sign faces in. The tenant layout is changed up. So each one of those tenants would have a brand new face in it.
Now, I just have a couple questions here. What about the tenants who aren't on the sign? Are they going on in the future or? I mean,
As of right now, this sign is just for the main flagship. The tenants in that location. Right now, I don't know if they're ever gonna do a secondary sign for the other tenants.
How many units are there in this? Excuse me, how many units are there in this strip mall?
There are, total of 20 if you include the smaller units. But relative to your question about the smaller units, generally the flagships will get the pylon sign. The smaller units don't really, they're not that concerned about getting on a pylon sign.
Okay.
Because once you get the draw from the bigger stores, they feed into the.
Okay,
smaller
how many big tenant spaces do we
There's a
have?
Total of 5 now with.
How many spaces, not on the sign, how many spaces are there in the strip for large tenants?
Well, these will fill in the last 2 of 5 that are there.
So there's no more than 5 large tenants to be in this
That's- yeah,
space.
that's total, that will fit the space. In the past, we split the old Kmart building into the southern part. I'm sorry, the northern part of the building with the big lots.
It's big lots, yes.
Big lots.
Yep,
Now they're splitting the south 2/3 of the old Kmart building into a Michael's. It's got 110 feet of frontage.
mhm.
And the Ross for Less store has 90 feet of frontage. So they're splitting the balance of the remaining part of the Kmart building.
Okay,
So and that's the maximum large tenants that are gonna be in that space.
so if we were to grant this variance, we won't see you back here in 6 months saying I've got another tenant, I need to make the sign bigger.
No, sir, no, the landlord's or the owner's intention are to supply the main the traffic drawers with the pylon sign. And again, the smaller stores will feed off of that. So he has no intentions of putting any more tenants on the pylon sign. I'm
Thank you.
sure he'd be happy to put that in writing for you too, if you like.
So my understanding is because they're removing what's there now, they require another variance. I mean, they already had a variance for the sign that they have up there now.
Well, unclear what the history of the sign is, but yeah, I mean, by removing the top, it then moves toward conformity. To add it back would require the variance.
Commissioners, other questions?
Sure. I have a long, proud history of not liking big signs.
Okay.
If we don't give you the variance and you're stuck with 154 square feet, what will you do?
That is actually a good question for Tom.
The main reason I'm here is to let you know that the landlord has already signed leases with Ross Burlesque and Michaels.
Mhm.
And one of the exhibits on both of the leases, and they're adamant about being on pylon sign.
Mhm.
One of the main hiccups in the finalization of the lease is the pylon sign issue. They'd like, obviously, they'd like to get their names out there because Michael's is a pretty substantial store. And Ross Burlesque, there aren't very many of them up in the Michigan or the Northeast yet, but they're coming up from the Southwest and they're a pretty sizable operation. And, they just need the pylon sign to drive, the public into the site. The old Kmart building, I'm sure you're all very familiar with it. It sits, I don't know the exact dimension, but a couple thousand feet off of the main road. So it's back off the highway enough.
Mhm.
It's difficult to see the building. So the pylon sign is a pretty big draw for that space.
Sure, and I don't mean you any disrespect, but you're not really answering my question.
I'm sorry.
How could you make these 5 names fit in 154 feet?
I don't think effectively, no. The big lots that moved in there last, I'm
Mhm.
sure they have a square footage idea in mind for their pylon sign.
I'm sure they do.
And as well as the others do. When we did a number of years back, when we did the Harbor Freight tool next to the Planet Fitness, one of the discussions was Harbor Freight didn't care if their sign was an inch bigger than Planet Fitness sign, as long as it was bigger. So they're all about getting, the bulk of the sign in their name. And the
Mhm.
landlord has negotiated that, the sizes with the tenants.
And, the landlord kind of oversteps their bounds when they do that, don't they?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
If both the Big Lots and the Staples sections of these signs were scaled
Mhm.
to meet, scaled in the same manner as Aaron's and Ross and Michael's, this would all fit without a variance.
Well,
What we did back in January when we sent this in was we wanted to clarify if this would be doable. So the owner of the property could go back with this drawing and say, okay, this has been, verbally approved. We can go ahead with this. And, so that's what actually started the contracts. That's why when we emailed these in, we're like, is this something that we can do? So we can have, the potential tenants take a look at it, see what we can do.
And the problem we're gonna have is according to our ordinance, in order to grant a variance, it has to be the result of some exceptional circumstances that relate to the configuration of the property.
Yep.
Not just because we want a bigger sign or because our tenant wants a bigger sign. That doesn't get the job done for us.
Yeah, well, that's why we sent it in. I sent this in January to see if it was doable, and yeah, it looks like it should work.
I don't
And
think
that's what-
anybody would have told him that since it requires a variance.
Yeah,
Obviously, we
yeah.
can't speak for the zoning board of
Yeah.
appeals.
Right.
I mean, I will say that there are certain givens in this situation, right? I mean, there's 3 existing tenants. And I assume they have leases that specify their sign. And essentially what they're proposing to do is trade that top cap, which didn't have any
Uh-huh.
copy on it
Mhm.
before,
Okay.
but did count as signage for 2 additional tenant signs in order to be able to fill 2 spaces with anchor tenants that demand, or at least it is represented to you that those anchor tenants demand pylon signage. So, those are certain givens. Whether you think they justify a variance is obviously up to the zoning board of appeals to decide.
And another given is that those pylons are there. And they're way too big and they're way too far apart, but they're already there.
Mhm.
And so they can't shrink the whole thing because someone allowed this in the first place. Ugh,
Probably us.
yeah, it was. I voted no. But
You know,
it's
if
a given.
I was trying to see what city's calculation on the new sign is. It's 221,
Mhm. Which is what it is now.
which is what it is now. As much as I am opposed to giving sign variances at all, this
Mhm.
the net result here doesn't look like much of a change. It may be in the single digits.
A little more balanced.
Yeah. I'm not sure we answer the questions.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
And they're making a good gesture for me in getting rid of Crossroads
Yes, yep.
and just focusing on the business that
So is it-
Because Crossroads doesn't add anything to people's information
No.
as to
it
Yeah.
doesn't.
where we're going or what's going on here.
Yep.
Since this is a public hearing, is there anyone in the audience to speak on this? Just make sure to give everybody a chance, or anybody wants to speak on this. We have one person online. Is there anything from that person that wants to speak on this?
I'm guessing not.
I'm guessing no?
No.
Okay,
I have one more question.
Okay.
I guess. Is there any wiggle room in the Big Lots and the Staples? Can you throw us something?
like make them the same size as the others?
Like just not having so much border,
So much border.
top and bottom.
Top to bottom. So you're talking about the negative space
Yeah.
Yes,
above.
Yes,
Big
that's what I'm
Lots?
talking about. And yeah, above and below Big Lots and above and below Staples.
Yeah, because if we cut off 4 inches, or probably 2 or 3 inches on the top and bottom of those 2 signs, you wouldn't need a variance.
The staples and below, those
Mhm.
are all the existing, so we wouldn't be able to shave any off that. The big lots, we would, since that's, you look at it, there is a negative space. If we even that up more, and maybe it's like a total of 9 to 12 inches.
Yeah.
That could
I
definitely be a
think we're
possibility.
clo- I think we're close enough in our dimensions here that if that were to happen, you wouldn't necessarily need a variance.
Okay. Yeah, we could shave some of that off there.
You'll still need a variance. Yeah.
No, I think that
They're
takes,
gonna be able to make up.
They're not gonna get 70 feet.
no, okay, never mind.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
It's only 12 feet across,
yes.
so they'd have to lose 5 feet, 6 feet.
because they don't make up the 67 feet.
Right.
At least getting toward the minimum variance.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
goal.
Because you shave 6 off, it would be just under, it'd be about 5.5 square foot taken away from what we're asking for. Or if it's, 9, it's gonna be 9 inches, 12 inches, it's gonna be closer to 10, 12 square foot.
Except if this is 18 feet. If the height of the new signs of the copy on the signs is 18 feet. And I calculated it, which maybe erroneously, at 216 inches divided by 12.
It's 228 inches now,
Oh, 228, okay. Okay.
according to
Add that stuff up.
according to what it says
Yeah.
right here.
Oh, okay, so divided by 12. It gives us 19 feet. And 140 across, 140 inches. Divided by 12,
13 feet-ish.
not used to doing this on my phone.
You're an MBA, you used to do. it
I
in
know,
your
I know,
head.
yeah. Thank you. which gives us 247 square feet.
That's more.
That's more by 20 feet. Approximately.
That's more
26
than, that's
26 feet.
that's more than it
Yes,
was before.
yes, but it's less than that by a lot.
Oh, you're saying the variance is?
Yes. It would still require a 26-foot variance rather than a 40 square foot variance.
All right. You're gonna have to make a motion when we get there because it's your math.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable, though, to trim some of the
Yeah,
big lots and
Yeah.
just get us closer?
yep, yeah, we can do that.
We're still gonna have a hard time, but
Go for it.
Anything else from commissioners' questions before we go down through these? We have some items that we have to find the affirmative for before we're able to even consider granting this type
Okay.
of variance. And some of these aren't the easiest to work through, but let's see if we can do that. One, the alleged practical difficulties or exceptional and peculiar to the property of the person requesting the variance and result from conditions which do not exist generally throughout the city. My thinking is that it is a little bit unique because I don't know of too many other properties other than possibly the mall where the businesses are so far back off the highway, off the main road.
just that strip along there.
Yeah.
Joanne's and all of those would be the same.
Yeah, yeah, but it's not like the restaurants right by the road and that type of thing, because basically you don't see unless you really look. By that time, you gotta be careful you're driving, look back to see
Mhm.
what's back there. So unless there's an objection, I would find that yes for item number one.
Okay.
You can say that with a straight face.
I can.
Okay.
I have to. Number two, the alleged practical difficulties which result from the failure to grant the variance includes substantially more than mere convenience or inability to obtain a higher financial return or both.
This one's harder.
The fact that the pylon is existing and the overall is not an expansion of the existing facility, that there is a practical difficulty of changing that all out. You can believe that or not.
Okay. If there's no objection, I'll find yes for number two. Number three, allowing the variance will result in substantial justice being done, considering the public benefit intended to be secured by this article and practical difficulties that will suffer by the failure of the zoning board of appeals to grant a variance and the right of others whose properties would be affected by the allowance of the variance. I don't see where anyone's property would be affected. There's all businesses there. But I can't see how changing that is going to affect them. As far as the practical difficulties that will suffer failure, I'm sorry, about public benefits intended to secure by this article. I think, having the signage that all the stores that are currently there, plus obviously a couple of new stores coming in, people looking to find these stores because they'll have a South Main Street address, but they're quite a ways off South Main Street. So if there's no objections, I would find yes for number three.
Let's talk about that one.
All right, go ahead.
There's no public benefit to a bigger sign.
There's a public benefit to being able to locate the business.
The
that we're looking
businesses.
for.
With ease.
A public benefit?
Is your
Yes.
microphone on,
Yes.
please, Cindy?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yes.
And the rights, I'm worried about the rights of others. Nobody's property will be affected,
No,
but it does set us up for when Joanne's wants a bigger sign because they're competing with these guys who have a bigger sign.
Right.
And Joanne's and Michael's in particular.
Right? And just like any
Uh,
variance we grant, they would have the
Yep,
ability to come in and present their case.
that's true. Okay.
Lad, anything on your end? I keep looking this way, but you're down here. So if there's no other objection, I'll find yes for number three. Number four, the finding of facts set forth in section B of this section shall be made by zoning board of appeals, which is not empowered to grant a variance without an affirmative finding of fact on the categories set forth in this subsection. which is what we have just done. So based on that, if there are no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'm not.
I would move that we grant the request for a variance for a total of approximately 26 square feet,
A variance of 26
a
square
variance
feet.
of 26 square feet.
And that makes it a total then of uh 100.
54 plus 26. 180.
180, that makes a total of 180
180
square
square
feet,
Mhm.
as opposed to what they're asking now, which is 221
Mhm.
square feet.
And that the resolution provided by staff be adopted with the notation that that was for size. Let's see, not 64, but 26 square feet.
That would be,
The resolution was a no, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it not?
Grants the application.
Okay.
that would actually cut that top cabinet in half.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought when we were talking before, we were talking about maybe cutting away like 9 or 12 inches of that top portion. All the way across. 40 square foot, that would. That'd be,
Could I have your calculator? Oh, no, I don't need it. So he's given us back 10.5 feet. So the variance is 57-ish.
10 square feet.
remember,
He's giving us back 10. If he cuts off 9 inches by 140 inches.
Are we okay with that?
the measurements here are both these things together.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
Isn't that right? 9 inches by 140.
Yeah.
Is 12 feet. Is 1,260 inches,
Mhm,
12 feet and change.
mhm.
If I calculate it right, if you cut 1 foot, 12 inches out of the total,
Yes,
that's 11.6 square feet. Is that
Okay.
right? So that's all right?
yep. Okay,
So then you subtract that from 221, which is the current total, correct?
yep,
And they would need the difference between 154 and that number, whatever that is.
make
221
it
and
basically
154.
200, right around 210 square feet.
No, so, all right, I'll do the math.
Mhm.
Plus 221.
no, the 221.
So they're asking for 200 and, on the sign that's 209.3 square feet, basically. 154 is allowed. That's a variance of 55 and change. 55 square.
okay, well, that's what we just went through.
So can you restate your motion?
Yes. I would move that we adopt the resolution provided by staff for a variance of 55 square feet for the pole sign located on South Main Street, at 1416 South Main Street.
Mike, do we have to have anything in that saying that that the top part of that sign is going to be cut? Or not?
We don't really care
Okay,
how they get to it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll be.
We have a motion. Do we have support for the motion?
Support.
We have, we have support. Are you understanding what what we're dealing with and?
Yep,
Okay.
yep. What we'll do is we'll revise this design showing that 12 inches off the upper portion of that 90-inch tall cabinet.
Okay,
And then, for the new, application.
okay. So we have a motion then for a 54, was it? 55,
55 square
55 square foot
variance.
variance. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Yep, Jacobitz,
Yes.
Beely,
No,
Dreyer,
Yes.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Berthold.
Yes,
Motion passed with a 4-1 vote.
okay. you're all set with your new design.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the new business is for 360 Michigan Ave, a temporary use. Do we have someone to speak on that? You come up, please, and give us your name and kind of give us a little summary of what you're asking for and
Daniel Corda, from Petoskey Court here in Adrian. I'm trying to start up a small little flea market going in that area to bring people down into the city, so, because we actually lost it in Adrian a long time ago. And I have the capability and the outdoor facility to take care of it, and it's all fenced in. So the parking is pretty structured out at the moment. There's a lot of parking. I also own another property across the street, which I can put the vendors into that parking spots. And so they'll be out of the way, so we have more parking available for other people to come to downtown. And that's my goal at the moment. I'm just first time doing this and trying to get excited doing it.
okay, I have a couple questions I can start
Yep.
with here. Are we talking, I was a little confused. Are we talking about the building, that stone building sitting there? Are
No,
we talking about the empty lot?
we're talking about Nelson Street area between George and Nelson on the corner there. I have 100 square feet by 300 square feet outdoors.
So this is outdoors. It's
Yes,
Not inside.
not
any of the
inside.
buildings.
Nothing to do with inside.
Is that area paved?
The half paid and then half grassed.
Is it paved or just old foundation from?
No,
old
it's
building?
asphalt. It's black asphalt.
Huh.
And then the other half is grass.
This would be easier to judge if we had a diagram that showed where everything was. gonna
I
go.
did bring a diagram to the
We've-
office at
we've
one
got it,
time.
yeah, but I don't know where your stuff was gonna go.
Okay. What, can I walk towards you and show
Oh,
you?
you can-
Sure, yeah, walk right up.
We don't bite.
Show us what's what.
This comes down to the fire departments up here in the corner.
What's the fire department's up there at the corner? Oh, way up, okay, way up there, okay. Yes, yes.
This is the Nelson Street
Yep.
that comes down. the
Yep.
hill. This whole area right here
Oh,
is asphalt here. and it's grass.
Is Nelson Street even paved there?
Yes,
Okay.
all this is paved. This is all paved.
Okay,
George Street is all paved.
yep, I know George Street is.
Then I have parking available, it'll be over here, and of course Nelson Street, because it can only go one way. And then, George
It's like
Street,
going this way, right?
yes. And George Street both ways, the easiest is right over.
Yeah. But now, none of this is like, is designated as parking. That's just like that old tomato plant there.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I also have that also on that. It's on.
You own all this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Lucky you.
Yeah,
So I'm just trying to expand on it and trying to bring people out, so you will come down Michigan Avenue this way, George Street this way. Well, we're blocked here, so we can't come down this way. Can you tell? It's about right in, there's access all the way around.
Mr. Alcarta, you're normally, when we look at a temporary use request, they bring us a diagram that says, this is where the vendors are gonna be, there'll be parking here.
Okay.
And-
well,
and-
I asked, but
Yeah,
I just
and-
wanted to say it's my first time.
Yeah.
Actually, vendors would all be in this area here, which is, like I said, it's 100 feet by 200 feet, and then to the end of the street is 300 square feet. So
Okay.
I own a lot of property.
and is
Just
this a bunch of
fronts.
card tables that people come on Saturday and set up? Is this a
Yes,
permanent
correct,
thing? What are you
Correct. No,
talking
it's
about?
Just a weekend thing for people to come.
So you're getting in off of Nelson, is that it?
Well, you come in, George, because here's my gate that's open. This is all gated.
Okay.
So you'll never, but it's all clean.
Yeah. There used to be a factory in that
The
area.
factory is right here.
Okay,
The building is right behind it.
okay.
But I'm not interested in using the building. I just wanted to make it outdoors for people to come outdoors like we normally do at any flea market, go outdoors and come see, other towns.
Is there outdoor lighting? Cause it said, you said.
It
you're
would
gonna
be
operating
lighting
at night.
because it won't be a nighttime thing.
Oh, cause it said we're running until 7 o'clock into
Well,
October.
I just kind of threw a name.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think I'm doing it in September, but I mean, I just trying to throw the numbers and options
Uh-huh.
because I'm a first time learner and,
So how many vendors do you think you're gonna be able to fit in here?
in the beginning, I expect not to have very many in this first year, or if I can get through it, this is why I didn't actually just put anything out there, but I can probably fit those.
And what
I'd
size
say a
space?
10 by 10 area.
10 by 10?
10 by 10 or 15 by 15. It's bigger than what you think.
I'm still confused what we're talking.
Here, Mike, look up here.
And I've been, it's all cleaned out, mowed down, everything's down.
The vendors would be in the grass area,
Yes. Yeah.
the people, customers would park.
Yeah, front,
Park.
street area, you know, expected to be there very long to walk through. But now they can't turn down Nelson Street. Nobody can, no.
What,
Nelson Street-
what is the address of this?
Mhm.
This doesn't matter. Why is this a Michigan?
Because that's the way it is.
It's one giant parcel, what he's
Yeah.
showing you.
Oh, okay.
Off of this.
Okay, because I was confused when I was looking at that lot on this, that, I was
That
looking at the
faces
lot
Michigan,
to the
yeah.
south, on Michigan, down in the south,
Yeah.
by the southwest corner. Oh, okay, then I looked at the wrong place today. Okay, so I'm looking down here. Okay.
Right. Now, three to the building, that's 100 square feet. And then from the tree or where you see those cars that are right there, I want, that's all fenced in. All the way to the other, that's 300 square. No. I'm going to clear all that thing and install in the building, it's not purpose for it this time, if I don't get approved. It's not for purpose, if you achieve it, you library. Right. And then across the street, I don't know, that empty lot over there. Which I'm knocking all down the trees and I got a gate that can go right in there. With part of this. But that's only if it gets big. I mean, if it doesn't get big, it's just gonna be simple.
I wanna go back.
I mean, if you're gonna get
Yeah.
that 15, 20 vendors in there, it's the beginning of something that could happen when they're just bigger. But I can raise it to make a good size, but it's still keeping under the front.
I'd be willing to consider something like this, but I would need to see something more concrete in terms of where stuff is gonna be, like a diagram that shows, here's where the vendors are gonna be, here's where the porta john will be, here's where the people are gonna park. And we can accommodate so many cars and so many vendors. Yeah,
And I would like to see dimensions of these areas.
Oh, it's 100, it's 100 square feet, like I said, from Nelson Street to the building. Go this way, it's 300 square feet the other, way. So you're looking at 400,000
yeah,
square feet of. Empty property.
I'm sensing that in most people's mind, mine included, don't really have enough information here at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know numbers are being thrown out by you, but I'm getting a little lost in all those we're talking. I would much rather see a drawing showing, like we said, how many parking spots you have, how you're controlling traffic there, where the pedestrian's gonna be able to walk safely for through parking and so on, to even consider something like this. Anybody else thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I'm positively in favor, but I need some more information.
Gotcha. They're just not aware. I just did it was a simple
And that's,
diagram. I mean, you
Right.
can get it. I just figure in the beginning, you're not gonna get many vendors because I haven't promoted it any kind of way.
yeah,
Cause I always figured you're always gonna get, if you get knocked down, then you,
Haven't invested much, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Why invest something that the city is gonna hold you back on? And then you turn around and you try to advance into something. So I figure in the beginning, you're only gonna get probably 20 vendors to start. And I know it's capability of getting bigger as more people enjoy coming, because people like flea markets. And then I also have a food vendor because I have the room for the food vendor. And I already discussed it with them and it can get approved because I have a room in the corner of the other section of it where they can put a truck. I would like to only have one truck, so they don't have no competition, you know what I mean? And then you have less people and then more parking.
I'd like to see something done with this property. I just can't exactly tell what you're proposing.
That's all the paperwork that I had that I got from the city.
Yeah.
Everything I got here is from what the city advised me. Other than that,
Yeah.
it's only pictures that I have on my phone.
Why don't you come back to us with something more concrete?
Okay,
Is it possible to table this until next month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that. So what they're really talking about is a dimension drawing. And there's certain dimensions for off-street parking spaces. So like you draw yourself how a parking lot would lay out it there on the paved lot. And then just, where the vendors would set up, where your food truck would set up, where the entrance is. I don't think probably there's gonna be much appetite for parking on the street. So really you want to try to have a configuration that accommodates parking off the street so that it doesn't impact the neighbors.
well, there's only one neighbor. Or actually,
there's people up and down
I own
the
pretty
street.
much that, other side of the block.
Yeah, but on Nelson Street, there's people and people could come down the other direction from Nelson and park if they knew.
Yeah, there's only Nelson and George Street. That's it. One's a one way and the other one's a double lane. That's it. And you guys got that other road blocked off, so there's really no traffic coming down College
Well,
Avenue.
it'll open by the end of the summer. so.
Oh,
Mr. Alcorta,
great.
I think that in your mind, you have a really clear picture.
I know.
And I think that you just need to bring that clear picture on paper to this group is all. I'm buying into what you're saying.
Gotcha,
I just think that it has to be in black and white. for the group.
gotcha. But I'm kind of been briefed up a little bit more on it. I would have known, but
Right,
I did not know. Just did the picture, just did the picture on it.
but don't get discouraged.
Oh, I'm never
Okay.
discouraged,
Okay,
believe me. All right, are we gonna table this then?
I just want, were you
Postpone it?
planning on any type of restroom facilities in this?
Well, you just asked me to put in a outdoor bathroom,
Porta John.
porta john.
Okay, well, I didn't know, yeah.
I mean, I have one in my, in the other building outdoors, so. Plus I do have running water in the other building in case
Okay.
emergencies happen.
Well, and if you're gonna have vendors there all day long, they
Right.
need, yeah.
Right, well, I mean, they'll have access to my other building to go bathroom.
Our discussion, do we have a motion to table?
So move.
Do we have support?
Support.
All right, no discussion on that. If I remember my parliamentary rules on the table. Roll call vote.
wait, don't we have to
Oh.
table it for a certain date?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just assuming next meeting, but,
I
think we
would, I would table that till our, to
Not
the
Table it.
June meeting,
okay.
June what?
our June meeting, which is June 6th.
6.
Pardon?
So are you hearing the kinds of things we want to know more about? So that you can
Okay,
sketch it out?
okay, so we have a motion and support to table this to our next meeting, which would be June 6th. I guess if we roll call, we don't need a roll call vote on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll look forward to seeing you in June with a little more detail that we can get clear in our heads.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item of business is for 124 East Front Street, and I assume we have someone here to speak on that? You're welcome, and give your name, please, because we do have people online. and-
Sure. Jerry Ryder, from the Croswell Opera House, 129 East Maumee Street. We are proposing the couple of day installation of a tent at 124 East Front Street for the purposes of a fundraising event by the Croswell Opera House. We will have appropriate fire lanes. We will have fire extinguishers. We are using a licensed electrician to help us with the power for the event that evening. And expect the tent to be disassembled on Friday morning, May 26th.
This is the former farm parking lot.
The former farm parking
Yes.
lot where they're working lights now.
Oh. Will there be outdoor facilities?
Yes, we are using American Rental out of Jackson, Michigan to provide a trailer for restrooms.
The fancy ones.
Very fancy,
Oh, yeah.
nothing but the best.
Questions?
Has this been repaved? Or is it?
It
going to
is not
be?
repaved, so
How
we
bad
are
is it?
closing the lot to cars and other things that normally park there. We're cleaning the lot with the help of Slusarski, and then low spots that are affected, that the tent will include, we are building platforming so that it's safe for people to walk the entire space of the tent.
And it'll be accessible and all
Yep,
that jazz.
yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone in the audience speak on this? Anyone online to speak on this? Okay, this is requesting a temporary use. Since this is an annual event, is a temporary use going to be needed to request each year?
They could do
Yes.
one for the first year, and then they'd have to do,
They have
come
to
back
come
for a 3 or 5.
Yeah, okay.
So you do it next year again, if they approve, we get a 3 or 5.
Okay, great. Thank you.
With the variance request, we have some items to go down through that we need to find affirmative on to consider granting a variance. Go down through these. One, the temporary use permit is compatible with the various provisions of this chapter.
We'll see as we get there.
And we'll get there in some following answers here. So we'll find yes for number one. Number two, the temporary use of reasonable use of the land compatible with the general plan, land use designation and zoning classification. This is, as most people in here are aware of, been an annual event. And it used to be on the main street here. So we're moving it to the parking lot. And most people probably also know the Croswell now owns that building and that parking lot. So it is on their private property. So I would find yes for number two. Number three, the temporary use will not impede the reasonable use of land or the orderly development of the land in the immediate vicinity. Says although the property is in B3 business district, which normally does not have a private parking lot, the property applied for has a private parking lot where they intend to hold the special event. Due to this, the property should not have any effect on the surrounding properties. Find yes. If anybody objects to any of these, please jump right in. Number four, the temporary use shall not adversely affect adjacent uses, buildings, or other structures. I can't see where it's going to bother anything else. There's parking lots around south,
Their own building.
the own building,
It's
yeah,
theirs, it's all
so.
theirs, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the houses across the street, it's not going to affect them. They can get in their own driveways, no problem. Except the people that park there now have to find new places, but.
Yep.
Number five, the temporary use will not endanger the public health, safety, or general welfare. We have a whole bunch of numbers here, which I have no idea what they all are. But it says that the owner at least must follow all these written number regulations for fire safety, which I think they've already talked about, and the fire department, I believe, has looked at this diagram and made their recommendation already. B, the property has been reviewed by the building official and the fire chief client. So I will find yes for number five. Number six, provision for adequate traffic access, circulation, off-street parking, pedestrian safety have been provided and will be maintained during the operation and use of the activity. In our plan diagram that was submitted to us, we can see where the driveways are being blocked off. So there'll be no vehicular traffic through there at all. I assume, maybe I'm wrong, there'll be some type of area maybe marked off for handicap parking. Close to the area there. I mean, it's not designated now, but
Right, because we're using golf carts to transport people from wherever they park to the
Okay.
tent, we'll just rely on the usual farmer's market parking lot for
Okay.
handicap.
so I'll find yes for number six. Number seven, that the granting of the temporary use permit is made subject to these conditions necessary to preserve the general welfare, not the individual welfare of any particular applicant. Once again, find yes for number 7. And then number 8, our recommendation, which will need to come in the form of a motion. But I find that we have found yes for all the items we need to look at. So if there are no other questions,
I have one other question, of course. Where the tent is gonna go is where I have always parked. Is there gonna be enough parking?
There is, so typical for a Croswell event, we would have between 500 and 640 people. This event will max out at 322. So there should be less cars than a typical Croswell event. So using the parking lot immediately behind us and behind the Croswell, as well as the farmer's market lot, we have permission from the owner of Jesse Salon Group for some of our volunteers and other people to use their parking lot. So not all, but many of our staff and that won't be taking the public lot.
And we can park
Yeah.
on the street, which we.
Yeah, Toledo Street
couldn't have-
has public parking.
Well, in
mhm,
Maine,
And
which you have, or Mommy.
Mommy,
which
as
has
well
been
as Broad
blocked off.
Street.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
given 322 as a maximum number of people, I think we're doing good.
And at least 2 of us will walk.
Perfect. I highly recommend it because it's quite a party.
any other questions? Then I entertain a motion, please.
Go ahead, Mike.
I would move adoption of the resolution as provided by staff and approval of the request for a temporary use permit by the Croswell.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and we have support. Do we have any questions on the motion? No questions, roll call vote?
Strayer,
Yeah.
Gillespie,
Yes.
Jacobitz,
Yes.
Beely,
Yes.
Berthold,
Yes.
motion passed unanimously.
You're all
Thank
set.
you. Tickets still available, but not for long.
That go in the record, does it in a minute, so it's your comment? Okay. Any old business? Any other future business we have, updates or anything? I do have one question, Greg, this would be, I guess, for you. I understand from what I'm reading that we're looking at redoing this whole book.
That is correct, from scratch.
So,
City Commission approved that proposal last night, so we'll start a process. We'll give you a copy of what the process is from the scope of work, but it's about a year-long process.
about a year long, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Any public comment? Seeing none, the zoning board meeting is adjourned and planning commission will begin in a few moments.
Couple meetings more.
Folks, we will call to order the May 2nd meeting of the Adrian City Planning Commission. We could have a roll call, please.
Jacobitz,
Yes,
Love,
Love won't be here.
okay, Weatherby,
Present.
Johnson,
Present.
Watson,
Present.
Taylor,
Present.
Gauss.
Present.
All members present except for Commissioner Love. You do have a quorum.
First item on our agenda is consideration of our April 4th meeting minutes. Commissioners, I presume you've had an opportunity to review those. The only change I noted was in the very first line where it says this special meeting, it should say the regular meeting. Are there any other additions or corrections?
Yeah, I have a couple of corrections.
Okay,
The first item present. Since I was on a cruise ship in the middle of the Caribbean, I don't think I was present for this meeting.
and did you make any motions at this meeting that you weren't? at?
I did not.
Okay.
Nor
voted.
nor did I vote on, although it says that I voted in
Okay.
favor of the motions. so,
Got it.
At least twice.
Very well. Corrected.
Probably take my name off of
Yes.
this.
Anything else? Gordon, was anything else?
No, then nothing
Oh,
else that
okay.
I have. Thank you.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? If there are none, we would entertain a motion for their approval as corrected.
So move. Support.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Next item on our agenda is case number 2307, which is an amendment relative to marijuana drive-through and curbside service. We've discussed this at least at the last meeting, if not the last two. Staff has provided the relevant articles, and the only changes there is the striking out in probably 4 or 5 places of reference to not permitting drive-through or curbside service. Any discussion or questions on that? If we are in favor of that, first we'll see if there's anyone here that wishes to comment on it, but if we are in favor of that, this would be in the form of a motion to recommend this to the city commission for those changes.
So move. Support.
Motion and support. Was that you, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, and Taylor?
Taylor.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on this particular matter? I understand correctly that even though would permit them, it would, any of the existing ones that obviously don't have them because they weren't currently permitted would have to come for a site plan review before final approval.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Gauss,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Weatherby,
Support.
Johnson. Support. Taylor,
Support.
Jacobitz.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously.
Okay. Case number 2308, also an ordinance amendment relative to the height of accessory buildings. And again, staff has provided changes in language here. Jeremiah, do you have that language that we talked about this afternoon? Suggestion that I would have is on page 38. In the first paragraph, paragraph C, the new language, subparagraph A would read, when a detached accessory building is over 1 story, it shall be required to comply with principal building setbacks, period, and scratch the, or that's what I think was intended by that, but it wasn't clear to me.
No, I mean, our,
Not what was intended.
yeah, that was not what we intended in drafting it. And what we thought we had discussed with you previously, it was like this progression, so that for every foot that it increased, so if it was a 15-foot building, for example, as opposed to a 14-foot building, then it would have to add 1 more foot,
Yeah.
but up to the required setback when it got to that point.
And I think this says the same thing, just a little more clearly, I hope, Greg.
So how would you have it read?
When a detached accessory building is over 1 story, it shall be required to comply with principal building setbacks.
Well, 1 story doesn't necessarily mean, 24 feet.
No, but that's still, see, you have to read it, I'm sorry, you have to read that with the whole paragraph, starting at part C. Which says, in effect, what you were saying, for every foot that goes up, it needs to go back a foot. But at some point, you don't have to go back any farther than the primary principal structure setback.
Oh, I see what you're
No
saying.
matter how high it is, you don't have to go back any farther than the principal building setback.
Correct.
That's what I was trying to say. I thought that was more clear.
I don't know that it exactly captures it.
See, I was confused.
we're worried about
I was confused by the phrase not to exceed the required side or rear yard setback in that residential district.
Right, well, it wouldn't have to increase more than that. That's what that means.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but if it's only. All right, I mean, I didn't draft this, so I'm. Kind of getting. Acclimated here, but are we, if we're starting at a base height of 14 feet,
Right.
right, and you go to 15 feet, then
You have to go back a foot.
where would you say that if you stopped? Subparagraph A. Where you suggested,
What if he went to 16 feet? Then you'd have to be 2 feet either way, right?
Right.
right, so, but I
that-
mean, if we're ending it right at. If we're saying it has to comply with the otherwise setbacks, if it's over 14 feet. That's what the rule is now,
Yes.
Right,
that's no change.
right. That's what I'm thinking, yeah. But if we allow them to go higher, then we have to have a bigger setback.
Yes, but we incrementally increase the setback for how high,
From
how
3 to
much
4 and
more
5.
high they're making it.
Right.
More tall. That's the way to say
More
it,
tall?
Probably.
But
More high was, more high was the prior item.
where do we say,
Well,
where do we say that though? It's not that phrase I just struck that says that.
Well, yeah, I guess I didn't.
Okay, I guess
understand
we're
what
both,
you said.
yeah. So Mike, read what you think it should say.
When a detached accessory building is over,
Okay, you're starting at A, right?
Yes.
No.
Okay,
when a detached accessory building is over 1 story, it shall be required to comply with the principal building setbacks.
but that
okay,
doesn't
you're just
mean
cutting out
anything.
all the 1 foot for 1 foot. Where, that's not said anywhere else besides there.
Okay, I'm sorry, the insertion was at the wrong spot here, excuse me.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
you
yep,
said that twice that
No,
way.
no, you're right, you're absolutely right. We leave that in.
And where do
It
you
shall
put
be
it?
required to increase the distance to any side or rear lot line by 1 foot for 1 foot of the building's increased in height, period. Maybe that's all we need to do. See, it was that last phrase that I was having trouble with.
Not to exceed the required.
But we don't want to do that to infinity,
No,
right? We have
no,
to,
no.
that's why the parenthetical are there at
Right,
the end.
Right.
Not to exceed the required side or rear setbacks for the residential district.
Well, how can we do that then? Just a minute. When a detached accessory building is over 1 story, it shall be required to increase the distance to any side or rear lot line by 1 foot per 1 foot of the building's increase in height.
Well,
I mean, it's pretty
Period,
clear to me.
period.
Period.
but right now the requirements are 3 feet and 5 feet, right?
Right,
Okay. So if you go from 14 feet to 15 feet,
and the point being is if the building,
just like
what we want to say is if the building is tall enough, if it's really tall, you don't have to go back, as Greg said, infinitely.
well, according to this, you would go back every 1 foot for every foot you go up.
Yes,
So it would be from 3 feet to 4 feet and 5 to 6.
yes.
If you go up 2 feet, it'll be from 3 to 5. And so, I mean,
And if we go up 20 feet,
then you're gonna have it on in the next neighbor's property.
exactly, but that's what this line was about, what this phrase was about, was that at the worst you can do is have to comply with the principal building setbacks.
Right.
That's the extreme.
That's, yeah,
That's-
I
that's
mean,
the
that's
worst
what
you
I
get.
thought I was writing with the last.
But
So yeah, I
phrase
guess if
there.
you were 6 feet away from the side and 10 feet away from the rear, you could go up
3 feet and still be within the 3 and 5.
Right.
But there's no actual limit to the height you could go and.
Unless you
Well, there
find
is
out
an
how much you-
overall limit for the district, right? And
Okay.
so
Yes.
Or if you get to.
there's gonna be some absolute limit on height, but when you get to that, there's also an absolute limit to what your
Setbacks,
setback
yeah.
has to be.
Mm-hmm,
Which is the normal setback for the district. And if you wanted to add more words in there, you put the period after height and you'd say, in no case shall a structure be required to exceed the side and rear setbacks
which is what I was kind of going
for
for.
a principal structure.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what we wanted to say.
Should be required or allowed.
No, required. They would not be required.
Yeah,
Right.
They're allowed to. They could be back farther if they want to, but they're not required to be set back farther than the setbacks for
Mhm.
principal structure in that residential district.
But we still.
and
still-
now that we've talked through it,
No.
I see what you said. But it actually needs like a new sentence there, I think.
We can,
Yeah.
like I said, you can make it a new sentence and say just what we just talked about.
Okay,
Yeah.
is people clear on what we're saying there then? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Is that okay?
So, yes, so put a period after height,
And then,
in no case shall a structure be required to exceed the setback, side and rear setback for a principal structure in that residential district.
sorry,
Okay, well, we're gonna scrap
Throw it
the
all-
whole,
we're
we're
gonna
gonna
throw it
scrap the
all
whole
in.
ordinance anyway, so.
Yeah.
okay. Anything else? Was the rest of those changes
Yep.
clear and acceptable? The point of this is to be less restrictive with what people can do with accessory buildings in terms of
Right,
height.
right.
And maybe even be able to use them for a mother-in-law apartment on
Correct.
the second story or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Commissioners, any additional discussion on this particular matter?
Oh.
None. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on this proposed change to the ordinance relative to accessory buildings? Hearing none, we could entertain a motion for adoption of a motion to recommend this to the city commission for this proposed change.
Don't move.
Support. Watson and Johnson. Any additional discussion? Vote please.
Weatherby,
Support.
Gauss,
Support.
Taylor,
Support.
Jacobitz,
Yes.
Watson,
Support.
Taylor, or Johnson, support. Motion
Okay.
passed unanimously.
Next item, 1107 East Beecher, a zoning exception and site plan for marijuana growing and provisioning center. I understand the applicant has requested that we table this and
Wait.
table it.
We did, Mr. Chair, notice this as a public hearing though, so if we could conduct the hearing and then.
Okay. But since we don't have anything to really present on it, it makes it difficult for the public to comment, doesn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
there were plans at City Hall if anybody wanted to see them, but,
Okay,
and if somebody was here to see it, we could put those plans
well,
up.
and if we table this evening, then it's still an open public hearing for next meeting. And we certainly would entertain comments at the next meeting.
Yeah, that's the way we treat it. That's the way we.
Move to table.
Is there support for the motion
Support.
from Taylor? All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will keep that on the agenda for the next meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to comment on that particular project, even though I don't have any of the details for you this evening? Hearing none. Okay. Is there any other business for us this evening?
I just have one comment, like, is it in our privy or to ask the city commission to, if we're gonna, since last night they passed the rewrite of the ordinance. It's kind of a moot point for us to be making any adjustments or any ordinance amendments in the next year, or is that,
Well, I wouldn't go deep into it, right? I mean,
well, that's what I mean, like, do we just say, do we ask them or can we say, we're not taking any more
Well, like,
once the process starts. Because I mean, like this, you guys did all this work that's gonna get thrown out.
well, except that this was, as I recall, both of those were in response to specific requests.
That's what I mean.
To do so. So I think tweaking is probably just fine in the coming 12 months. Especially if we're.
You know, I would say that the process would probably be different. You know, we'd look at it and determine whether there was some immediate need versus whether it could wait until the rewrite is done, because it's gonna be a year-long process.
Yeah.
You know, and we had somebody wanting to build a garage that was higher than 14 feet, so this allows them to not do that in the meantime, but if there's not some immediate need, I would agree that we just
Postpone.
give that idea to the consultant and wait for them.
Okay. Then, I mean, as long as you guys are on that page to say if somebody comes in and like wants.
Yeah.
Say, go pound sand and,
Yeah, I had two more for you, but I didn't do it. I'm being dead serious.
yeah, that's fine. I mean,
I didn't know.
I agree. Like, I don't want you guys wasting
Right.
your valuable time. Doing things.
Some of
that-
our time is more valuable than others.
Well, yeah.
but
But. I- it's kind of wasteful that you spend a lot of time doing something.
Yeah.
Right, no, we did pull our stuff back because.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the planning commission on any other topics? Hearing none, we'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Support. Okay, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Bye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Yes, they should.